Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today are the many different taxes that promote tourism and culture and arts and all the fine things that make communities worth living in Utah. Joining us for our conversation today are people who understand the nuances of RAP and RAPS and RAMP and ZAP and ZIP and all those other things. Gordon Zillis, who's a Cache County councilman, and Vicki Pinella Borns, who's the ZAP program director for Salt Lake County. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's just kind of go through this for the first part, because there are a lot of people, and actually at the time we started this program, I was one of them, that thought that ZAP, a la Salt Lake County where I live, and RAPS, a la Cache County, was actually the same as TRCC, which is the Tourism, Recreation, Cultural, and Conventions, or in essence the restaurant tax. And they are different taxes, aren't they?
Yes, they
very
are.
much are. And one of the things that most of our citizens and our residents of the different communities in the state many a times forget that every 10 years the reauthorization of these taxes have to go before the public, and it's a great time to re-educate the public as to what they're used for, and to also encourage them to vote yes on the ballot. And that's one of the things that will happen in Cache County this year, is we're going to, in the fall, we're going to have to decide as a community if we want to continue to pay these taxes. And one of the things that we'd like to do is we'd like to educate the public on all the many different things that the RAPS pays for, and how it enhances all the little communities up in Cache Valley, as well as the big community of Logan City.
Let's talk about Salt Lake County and the ZAP tax. Why is it called ZAP and everybody else is called RAPS?
We are called ZAP because it stands for Zoo, Arts, and Parks.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 zoos in Salt Lake County, and so for us, the RAP tax can fund those zoos, similar to Cache County.
That's correct.
They have a zoo, so they have a Z at the end of their name.
So if you have 2 zoos, it goes in the front, and if you have a Z,
That's
you
right,
only have one
that's
zoo.
That's right.
I'm just trying to understand all the acronyms very clearly. What other things does Salt Lake County cover with that tax?
Salt Lake County ZAP program is really important to enhance our quality of life. And what we do is we fund recreational infrastructure, and we fund what we call our ZAP partners, or the ZAP recipients, who are cultural organizations, botanical organizations, arts organizations, and they provide programming throughout the state that our citizens and visitors can attend.
Okay. And what kind of projects is Cache County engaged in?
Up in Cache County, we've done very similar things. We funded some ongoing large projects, such as the Eccles Ice Arena. We've also funded the opera gets a certain amount of the percentage of the money, as well as all the communities around submit applications for this RAPS money, and they are awarded according to the project and its merits. Almost every community, in fact every community up in Cache County, has had money that's went towards parks and to other events that takes place in their community. We built ball diamonds, we built parks, plus 10% of the money is allocated directly to the zoo. So the little zoo in Willow Park is funded in part by the RAPS tax.
Now, some people will look at the restaurant tax, quote, the tourism, recreation, cultural, and conventions, and that is a tax that comes from dining in restaurants, and the ZAP and RAPS are based across the entire population. Is that not correct?
I think some of the confusion comes in that they're both sales taxes. They're both related to the purchase of things, whether it's purchasing a meal in a restaurant or purchasing a car. It's sales tax that fund both of these different types of funding. But how they're used is different, and how much that is taken is different. So for Zoo Arts and Parks and for RAP and RAPS, it's 1/10 of 1% of your sales tax that goes towards this. So it's a very, very small amount. It's 1 cent on $10.
Correct.
Okay, and then the TRCC, which the fundings, the things they do with the money is pretty much the same, but TRCC is not a recurring one, as I understand it. A county elects to collect that tax, and that's a selection made by the county leaders, at a county level,
correct.
where the other taxes are done by a referendum.
Yes,
That is
that's correct.
Okay.
They do fund slightly different things. The TRCC funds in Salt Lake County fund tourism and conventions. It does fund part of our Parks and Recreation operations, but it funds mostly facility type things. So that
So it's more
in
the
our
brick and
case,
mortar side of it.
yeah, in our side, well, for Salt Lake County, we clearly delineate what ZAP goes to and what the TRCC goes to, and they're not the same things.
Okay, and how do you handle that in Cache County, Gordon?
Well, the way that it was written up is that one of the segments of it has to go to completely public nonprofit type things, and so the RAPZ tax can go to almost anything, but the restaurant tax cannot go to anything that is not tax exempt. I might have those two turned around, but there's a difference. You can use one of the taxes only for specific things, but then the other one, and they will cross a little bit, so you can use part of the fund that will fund a project from both ways, but then the one fund cannot fund a project that is not.
But it sounds like there's some flexibility with the counties on how they individually set these up and delineate how they're going to spend them.
Yes, that's true.
Unlike the transient room tax, TRT, which I believe the state mandates has to be used in the promotion of tourism, for its purposes, there's a lot more flexibility, and the counties on their individual basis can kind of say, okay, well, we'll dedicate this here and that will go there, and is that correct?
Well, we're very structured in Salt Lake County. It's a county of the first class, and by state statute, we have very specific guidelines that we follow to use our ZAP funding.
That's right.
So 30% of our ZAP funding goes to recreational facilities and infrastructure. Approximately 12% goes to zoological organizations, and then the rest of the money goes to arts, cultural, and botanical organizations. So they all have to be 501c3 organizations, or they have to be associated with the municipality, like the Draper Arts Council or the Sandy Arts Guild, and that sort of thing.
And do people apply for these each year individually? You know, it's like the Cottonwood Heights Operatic Association decides they want to do an opera, and so they'll come to you and say, we would like, and so they apply for it like a grant?
We have an annual application procedure that we go through. As a matter of fact, our first deadline is March 30th this year, and we get applications from about 170 organizations that we have 2 volunteer advisory boards help us review and present those recommendations to the county council, which makes the final decision.
Okay.
We're very similar in Cache County on that, only we have more than just 2 that are private citizens that we invite there. We have a citizen from every geographical area where a council member resides. We have 2 council members that are on the committee, plus our county executives, and then we have 6 or 7 more private individuals that sit. So every community has a representative there, whether they be a council member or whether they be just a private citizen. And we also open our applications up in February. The deadline's the 31st of March. And then the committee meets and they rank every one of the projects according to, you know, there's the ranking of how much you're gonna contribute to the project, and how beneficial it is to the community. And there's never enough money to go around.
Well,
and so as a result, you have to.
That's true.
Listen, we will come back with more of the county seat. We're going to continue this discussion. When we come back, we will talk about some of the more interesting projects that have come before the counties seeking funding and help. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Rediscover your sense of adventure. Welcome to San Juan County. Discover the past. A change of place. Utah, San Juan County, where life is elevated.
What are the words that describe the perfect destination? Finding them all in one place is easy if you know where to look. Millard County in the heart of Utah offers ATV adventures, rock crawling events, art festivals, and nature at its most epic. Millard County, Utah. Find out what you've been searching for.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
So what brings you to St. George?
Business meeting.
Staying long?
Just here for the day, quick in and out. On second thought. Holy.
We'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your 45-minute flight to Salt Lake.
I should have booked a weekend.